Voices! Unless you're doing a music video or a silent film, you're probably going to want to record some dialogue. Now, besides voice actors, the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is a microphone. However, the good news is you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on one. In my experience, cheap microphones work fine. For example, this one I'm talking on right now is reasonably clear, right? Well, I bought this microphone for about $7 from Walmart. And you may occasionally hear some clicking noises when I record the lines. Well, that's because I dropped it and the casing came off, but I sort of got it put back together. The point is, it wasn't like that new. Now, obviously, you'll get better sound quality from a more expensive microphone, but it's usually a pretty subtle difference. However, if you record and you get a lot of hiss or real loud buzzing sound, then you may need a more expensive microphone. Or you may have some electrical interference that's getting in the way of your recording. If that's the case, you may have to do some research on how to ground your system better, or look into buying an amplifier that can suppress that. This is only if it's very loud. If it's just a quiet hiss or buzz, I'll talk about how to filter that out of your recording in a little bit. If you are buying a microphone, I recommend getting a handheld one, or at least one you can put on a stand. I would not recommend getting one of those combination headphone microphone sets used for gaming. It's just too easy to add interference noise with those. One of the voice actors I work with has one of those, and it will pick up creaking noises all the time just from moving his head. Also, you can't position those as well. Speaking of positioning, what does make a big difference in your recording quality is your technique. There are several things to watch out for when recording someone's voice. The first is to avoid speaking directly into the microphone. This is because your breath can overwhelm the sensors, and it can sound like wind is blowing into them. This can cause what I call mic puff. For example, listen to what it sounds like when I say this line directly into the microphone. Peter Pepper picked a peck of pickled peppers. That sounds pretty bad, right? Now listen to what it sounds like when I hold the microphone to the side of my mouth. How many pecks of pickled peppers did Peter Pepper pick? By holding it to the side, the microphone can still pick up the sound without getting hit by your breath. Now, it will be slightly quieter this way, but it's totally worth not having to worry about interference. This brings me to the next topic of volume. This might be the most difficult part of recording for you, but you need to find a time and place you can record where you can be loud, especially if you have any shouting lines in your script or people getting angry. If you feel like you need to be quiet or are worried about other people hearing what you're saying, it's going to hurt your performance as a voice actor. You generally need to speak a little louder than what you normally would for recording anyway. If you're worried about your neighbors calling the cops on you, it's going to add tension to your voice and just won't sound as good. When I made the first episode of Civil Protection, I made this mistake and ended up throwing out all the audio I recorded for my character because it sounded bad. I ended up doing it all over again at a different time when I wasn't worried about being loud, and it came out much better. So make sure you can speak at a loud volume. And another tip, if you have to really scream or shout for your recording, do those lines last or at another time altogether. Otherwise, it will throw your voice out and you won't sound normal for your regular lines. Now, another guideline that will be different for everybody is how far away you should hold the microphone. For normal talking like this, I usually hold the microphone about 3 to 5 inches away from my mouth. However, if I need to shout my head off or scream into the microphone, I may hold it as much as 2 feet away. The reason for this is what's known as volume clipping. Digital audio has a maximum volume it can record at. If it goes past that, then the sound distorts and it sounds awful. You can always increase the volume on quiet recordings. It's much harder and sometimes not even possible to fix volume clipping. So you want to avoid it at all costs. Now, to really give you an idea of what volume clipping is all about, I'm going to show you what it looks and sounds like.